chosen one? Why are you still alive when others, stronger, younger, more faithful, are already gone? Why did your heart keep beating through that diagnosis the doctors said would end you? Why, after everything you've buried, everyone you've lost, every dream that died in your hands, why are you still here on December 9th, 2025? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. That's not survivor's guilt you're carrying. That's a divine assignment you haven't opened yet. December 9th is not a date on a calendar. It is a divine appointment encrypted in eternity before your first breath. And the fact that you, yes, you sitting there right now in your living room, your kitchen, your bed at 2 a.m. when sleep won't come, the fact that you are hearing these exact words in this exact moment is the first sign that heaven has marked you for what's coming. You didn't find this message. This message found you. Before the final change, before the final shift, before the final unveiling, God interrupted your timeline. He paused your scrolling. He arrested your attention. Because what I'm about to tell you has been hidden in the vaults of heaven, waiting for someone with your exact scars, your exact story, your exact zip code in eternity. You've lived through wars, maybe not with guns, but with grief. You've survived storms that capsized younger souls. You watched the Twin Towers fall. You buried spouses, parents, friends, maybe even children. You've sat in hospital waiting rooms that smelled like death and disinfectant. You've opened bills you couldn't pay and closed doors on dreams you couldn't keep. But this December 9th, 2025, this is the moment all your pain begins to make sense. Every tear you cried in secret, God collected it. Every midnight prayer you whispered when hope felt like a lie, heaven recorded it. Every time you almost quit but didn't, that wasn't your strength, beloved. That was God preparing you for this appointed hour. Before we go deeper into what December 9th will unlock, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're sowing seeds into a harvest that will feed hungry souls across this nation. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead. Now, if your chest is tightening right now, if something ancient in your spirit just woke up, if you feel that electric knowing that says, "This is for me," don't you dare scroll past this moment. Type "I receive" in the comments. Not for me, for heaven. So the angels can see that you recognize the appointment. So the cloud of witnesses knows you're ready. Because the reason you're still alive after everything that tried to kill you is because the final change needs you. And it begins December 9th. Why did you wake up at 3:47 a.m. last Tuesday with your heart pounding and no explanation? Why have the past 6 months felt like you're walking through fog, like you're here but not fully here, alive but waiting for something you can't name? Why does every news headline, every conversation, every quiet moment carry this strange weight, like the world is holding its breath before something enormous breaks through? You thought it was anxiety. You thought it was age. You thought maybe you were losing your grip on reality. But what if I told you that restlessness isn't a symptom of decline, it's a symptom of divine interruption? Heaven paused your life like a movie scene frozen mid-frame. And you're standing there, suspended between what was and what's coming, wondering why time feels different now, why nothing satisfies anymore, why even your prayers echo in a strange new frequency. Listen to me, chosen one. God doesn't interrupt ordinary lives. He interrupts lives that are about to collide with destiny. Think about what an interruption actually means. When someone interrupts you, they're saying, "Stop what you're doing. This is more important." When a doctor interrupts your routine with an urgent call, everything changes. When a phone rings at midnight, your whole body knows this is not normal time anymore. That's what's happening to you right now. December 9th, 2025 is not just another Monday morning. It is the culmination of a divine interruption that began months ago, maybe years ago, when you first started feeling like a stranger in your own life. The final change is not about end times fear. It's not about tribulation or rapture or any of the things that make people build bunkers and hoard canned goods. The final change is a spiritual shift so profound that only those who have been spiritually isolated can perceive it. Only those who've been set apart. Only those who've learned to hear God in the silence. You see, before every massive change in human history, before every deliverance, before every promised land, God whispered to the few who could still hear him above the noise. Before the Exodus, God spoke to Moses in a burning bush while everyone else was enslaved, heads down, surviving. Exodus 3-4 says, "When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush. Moses was alone, separated, interrupted." Before Babylon fell, God gave Daniel visions that terrified him. Daniel 7:28 records, "I, Daniel, was deeply troubled by my thoughts, and my face turned pale." While everyone else ate at the king's table, Daniel was being prepared to read the writing on the wall. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he spent years in a prison cell, isolated from everything he knew, interpreting dreams nobody else understood. Genesis 41-16 shows his response, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." Alone, separated, interrupted. Do you see the pattern? You weren't overlooked, beloved. You were isolated so you could be instructed. Every friendship that fell away wasn't rejection, it was extraction. God was removing voices that would drown out his voice. Every door that slammed shut wasn't failure, it was redirection. Heaven was closing paths that would lead you away from December 9th. Every loss, every disappointment, every moment you felt invisible, that was God hiding you, like he hid Moses in the cleft of the rock, protecting you from a glory you weren't ready to see yet. The loneliness you felt, that was your seminary. The silence you've endured, that was your curriculum. The waiting that nearly broke you, that was your preparation for a moment when everyone else will be confused, but you will be clear. Because the final change isn't coming to the crowds. It's coming to the called. It's not coming to the comfortable. It's coming to the consecrated. It's not coming to those who've had easy lives. It's coming to those who've been refined in the furnace and learned to trust God when nothing made sense. Right now, across America, there are chosen ones sitting in living rooms in Queens, in nursing homes in Brooklyn, in small apartments in the Bronx, in houses in Staten Island, and they all feel the same thing, the same restlessness, the same knowing, the same divine interruption pressing against their chest like a hand saying, "Pay attention, something is shifting." You're not crazy, you're not imagining it, you're not alone. What you're feeling is the spiritual atmosphere changing. It's like that moment right before a thunderstorm, when the air gets thick and the birds go silent, and every animal knows something's coming. The natural world can't explain it, but the spirit world is screaming it. Amos 3-7 declares, "Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets." God doesn't move in secret. He warns his people. He prepares his chosen ones. He interrupts their normal programming so they'll be ready when the shift happens. And there is one sign God hid in plain sight, one marker that separates those who will perceive the final change from those who will miss it entirely. One detail that's been woven through scripture, through history, through your own story, and you haven't seen it yet. But you're about to. Because what's coming on December 9th isn't just information, it's activation. And the question burning in heaven's throne room right now is this: will you be ready when the interruption becomes the invitation? You've carried battles in silence because you didn't want to burden anyone. You smiled at church on Sunday while your heart was shattering on Saturday night. You told your children you were fine when you were dying inside. You pretended the loneliness didn't cut like broken glass every time you ate dinner alone at that table built for two. But heaven heard every unspoken cry. Let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. Every attack you endured, every financial collapse that made no sense, every diagnosis that came out of nowhere, every relationship that imploded just when you needed it most, it wasn't random, it was strategic. It was warfare. And the enemy wasn't attacking you because you were weak. He was attacking you because he saw December 9th coming. Think about this. Why would hell waste ammunition on ordinary people? Why would darkness deploy its most vicious demons against someone insignificant? The very fact that you've been under siege for decades is proof that you're carrying something the kingdom of darkness fears. Job understood this. The Bible says in Job 1-8, "The Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job?'" God himself pointed Job out to the enemy. Why? Because Job carried righteousness so pure, so unshakable, that heaven wanted to prove a point. And what happened? Satan unleashed everything: bankruptcy, disease, death, betrayal. But here's what hell didn't count on. Every attack only refined Job's faith like gold in the fire. You are Job in this generation. That divorce that nearly destroyed you at 63, that wasn't just a marriage ending. That was the enemy trying to kill your faith in love before God could use you to restore broken families. That financial ruin that left you eating ramen noodles in a paid-off house, that wasn't just bad luck. That was darkness trying to convince you that God doesn't provide before your greatest season of overflow. That health scare that had you writing your will at 70, that wasn't just aging. That was hell trying to take you out before December 9th could activate what's been dormant in your spirit for 8 decades. You thought you were breaking. God was building your spiritual spine. Listen to me, beloved. Every night you couldn't sleep because anxiety sat on your chest like a boulder that was spiritual warfare. Every morning you woke up and the first thought was, "I don't know if I can do this anymore." That was a demonic assignment. Every time you looked in the mirror and saw a stranger staring back, wondering who you'd become, that was the enemy trying to make you forget who God said you were. But you're still here. After the heart attack that should have killed you, after the depression that whispered just take all the pills, after burying your husband of 47 years and wondering if you had any reason left to breathe, after watching your children choose paths that broke your heart, after the church you served faithfully for 30 years asked you to step down because they wanted younger energy, you are still here. Do you know what that means? It means every weapon formed against you failed. Isaiah 54:17 doesn't say some weapons won't prosper. It says, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Every scheme, every plot, every attack designed to take you out before December 9th, they all failed. Because failure is the only option when hell goes to war with heaven's agenda. The enemy fought you hardest because December 9 opens a door he cannot close. Think about David. 2 Samuel tells us he spent years running from cave to cave, hiding from King Saul who wanted him dead. But 1 Samuel 16:13 says, "The Spirit of the Lord came upon David in power from that day forward." He was anointed as a teenager, but didn't touch the throne until he was 30. 17 years of warfare. 17 years of wondering if God forgot his promise. But every battle in those caves was training for the kingdom he would rule. Your caves weren't punishment, they were preparation. That loneliness you felt, the kind that follows you even in crowded rooms, that wasn't abandonment, that was God separating you from voices that would have drowned out his voice. That betrayal from your best friend of 40 years, that wasn't random cruelty, that was God removing someone who would have talked you out of your December 9th assignment. That financial pressure that forced you to depend on Social Security and food stamps, that wasn't shame. That was God teaching you that provision comes from his hand, not Wall Street. Every single battle was building something in you that comfortable people will never possess. You have authority that comes only through warfare. You have faith that's been tested in fires that would have consumed weaker souls. You have wisdom that can't be downloaded from a podcast or learned in a seminary. You earned it in the trenches. And now, right now, as we approach December 9th, hell is terrified because it knows what you're about to step into. It knows that when you finally understand why you survived, when you finally see that your scars are actually your credentials, when you finally realize that your pain wasn't pointless but prophetic, you will become the most dangerous force the enemy has ever encountered in your bloodline. You survived what was designed to bury you. That means you were chosen to witness what others will miss. Moses was 80 when God called him from the burning bush. Abraham was 99 when God renewed his covenant. Sarah was 90 when she birthed the impossible. Your age isn't your expiration date, it's your activation code. The enemy wanted you dead before you could decode it. But you're still breathing. And that breath is proof that December 9th needs you alive. If this is speaking to you, if something in your chest is confirming that every battle, every scar, every midnight cry was preparation for this moment, type "I'm still here" in the comments right now, not tomorrow, not later, now. Because surviving was your first prophecy, and December 9th is about to fulfill the rest. But you need to understand something critical about what's waiting on the other side of this warfare. Chosen one, heaven rarely marks dates on the human calendar. God doesn't need our clocks or our calendars to move. But when he does, when the Almighty himself circles a day in red and declares, "This is the appointed time," you better believe every angel in glory leans forward to watch what happens next. December 9th, 2025 is sealed in the courts of heaven. Not as a suggestion, not as a possibility, as a divine decree that was written before the stars knew their names. And I need you to understand something that's going to shake everything you thought you knew about your life. This date isn't coming for the world, it's coming for you. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How long have you been stuck? How many years have you been praying the same prayer, watching the same door stay closed, feeling like God put you on hold and forgot to come back? 5 years? 10 years? 20 years? You wake up every morning and it's the same struggle. The same financial pressure that's been choking you since 2008. The same family dysfunction that's been recycling through 3 generations. The same health issue that doctors can't fix and insurance won't cover. The same loneliness that sits in your chest like a stone, even when you're surrounded by people. You've been faithful. You've been praying. You've been tithing on a fixed income that barely stretches to the end of the month. You've been believing when believing hurt. And yet nothing moves, nothing changes, nothing breaks. But what if I told you that your stagnation wasn't punishment, it was preparation? What if every year you spent waiting wasn't God ignoring you, but God positioning you for a moment so massive that if it had come any sooner, it would have destroyed you? Listen to what God spoke through the prophet Habakkuk in chapter 2, verse 3. "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens to the end and will not prove false. Though it tarries, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Did you catch that? Though it tarries, though it feels late, though it feels forgotten, it will certainly come. Not maybe, not possibly, certainly. December 9th is your appointed time. Let me tell you what the final change actually means, because this isn't some vague spiritual concept that sounds nice in a sermon. This is concrete. This is measurable. This is the kind of shift that will make your neighbors ask, "What happened to you?" The final change is a divine reversal of long-term stagnation. It's God looking at the area of your life that's been frozen solid for decades and speaking one word, Thor. That business idea you buried in 1997 because everyone said you were crazy. It's about to make sense. That relationship that broke your heart in 2003 and taught you that some people can't be trusted. The wisdom you gained from that pain is about to become your ministry. That dream you had as a young person that got crushed under the weight of bills and responsibilities, heaven kept the blueprints. The final change is a breaking of generational bondage. I'm talking about the poverty that stalked your family tree like a curse. I'm talking about the addiction that's claimed someone in every generation. I'm talking about the divorce pattern that's repeated itself so many times you started thinking marriage just doesn't work for people with your last name. December 9th is the day God says, this ends, this cycle stops, this bloodline gets rewritten starting with you. The final change is a shift in your spiritual authority. You know how you've been praying and it feels like your prayers bounce off the ceiling. You know how you've been speaking life and nothing responds. That's about to change, because God is about to give you a voice that makes demons tremble and angels mobilize. You're about to discover what it feels like when heaven backs up your words with supernatural power. And here's the part that's going to wreck you. The final change is a divine green light after years of red lights. Every door that slammed shut, every opportunity that slipped through your fingers, every rejection letter, every "we've decided to go another direction," every "I'm sorry but we can't help you," all of it was God's hand protecting you from settling for less than what He had planned. But on December 9th, the light turns green. Now let me paint you a picture that might sound impossible, but you're going to feel it in your bones. On December 9th, the atmosphere around you will shift. I'm not talking metaphorically. I'm talking about a tangible change in the spiritual air you breathe. It will feel lighter, sharper, cleaner, like someone opened a window in a room that's been sealed for decades. You'll wake up that morning and something will be different before you even open your eyes. Your chest won't feel as heavy. Your mind won't be as clouded. That constant low-grade anxiety that's been your companion for 20 years, it will quiet. Not because you did anything different, but because heaven leaned close and breathed on your situation. This isn't coming to your city. This isn't coming to your church. This isn't even coming to all believers. This change is coming to the ones who've been marked, chosen, set apart, tested in fires that would have consumed ordinary faith. The ones who are still standing when they should have fallen. The ones who are still believing when logic says quit. The ones who are still here on December 9th, 2025, because God has been saving them for such a time as this. What was stuck will move. What was silent will speak. What was withheld will be released. But here's the question that's burning in heaven right now. The question every angel is waiting to see you answer. Will you recognize it when it comes? Or will you be so used to disappointment that you miss your own deliverance? Now listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to reveal has been operating in your life for weeks, maybe months, and you've been dismissing it as coincidence. But there's no such thing as coincidence in the kingdom of God. There are only divine patterns waiting to be recognized. God doesn't speak to His chosen ones the way He speaks to the masses. He doesn't shout. He doesn't force. He whispers in a language only the marked can understand. And if you're still watching this message right now, it means your spirit has been tuned to a frequency that most people will never hear. There are 3 signs, 3 prophetic markers that have been appearing in your life. And I need you to stop right now and ask yourself, have I been ignoring what heaven has been screaming? The first sign, a sudden shift in your peace. You woke up one morning last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and something was different. The anxiety that used to grip your chest every time you opened your eyes, it wasn't there. The dread that followed you like a shadow through your kitchen, through your morning coffee, through the empty rooms of your house, it lifted. And here's what shocked you. Nothing in your circumstances changed. The bills are still unpaid. Your children still don't call as much as they should. Your body still aches in places that remind you that you're not 20 anymore. The loneliness is still real. The bank account still looks the same. But the peace is suddenly untouchable. You can't explain it to anyone because it doesn't make logical sense. How do you have peace when nothing is fixed? How do you sleep soundly when the problems are still stacked on your kitchen table? Let me tell you why. Philippians 4:7 says, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Transcends all understanding. That means this peace doesn't need permission from your circumstances to exist. It doesn't wait for your problems to be solved before it settles in your chest. This peace is a prophetic download. It's God saying, I'm about to move in your situation, so I'm giving you the peace before the breakthrough so you can stand steady when everything starts shifting. You thought you were just having a good day. No, beloved. You were being prepared for a divine intervention. The second sign, an unexpected memory resurfacing. Out of nowhere, maybe you were folding laundry, maybe you were staring out the window, maybe you were lying in bed, a memory came back. Sharp, vivid, painful. Something you thought you'd buried 30 years ago. A face you haven't thought about in decades. A hurt that happened so long ago you convinced yourself you'd forgiven it. A moment of shame, of betrayal, of loss that you've spent half your life trying to forget. And suddenly, there it is again, playing in your mind like a movie you didn't ask to watch. You wondered if you were losing your mind. You wondered if this was dementia creeping in. You wondered why, after all these years, this memory. Why now? Because God is a surgeon, and He's about to operate. Psalm 147:3 tells us, He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds. But here's what most people miss. God doesn't heal what you won't let Him touch. He doesn't mend what you keep hidden. And for decades, you've been walking around with unhealed wounds, wrapped in layers of, I'm fine and I've moved on. But you haven't moved on, you've moved around it. God is bringing that memory back to the surface, not to torment you, but to heal you. Because what He's about to give you on December 9th is too powerful to pour into a cracked vessel. He's sealing the fractures, He's closing the wounds. He's making you whole before He makes you powerful. That memory isn't haunting you, it's being evicted from your soul. The third sign, a person from your past pulls away or returns. This one is going to shake you. In the last few weeks, someone from your past has either suddenly reappeared in your life or abruptly disappeared from it. Maybe an old friend called you out of the blue after years of silence. Maybe a relative you haven't spoken to in a decade showed up at your door. Or maybe, and this one stings, someone you thought would be with you forever just vanished. No explanation, no closure, just gone. And you've been sitting there, wondering, what did I do wrong? Why now? Why them? Let me tell you something that's going to rearrange your entire understanding of relationships. Proverbs 18:24 says, there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Notice it says, a friend, singular, not friends, not a crowd, one. God is about to elevate you to a place where not everyone can follow. He's about to promote you into a season where certain relationships will become anchors instead of allies. And heaven, in its infinite mercy, is rearranging your circle before the shift happens. If someone left, they were protecting themselves from the fire you're about to walk through. If someone returned, they were being repositioned to walk with you through what's coming. Either way, it wasn't random, it was strategic. God is cleaning house before He fills it with glory. Now, here's what you need to understand. These three signs aren't operating independently. They're working together like a divine combination lock, clicking into place one at a time. The peace prepares your spirit. The memory heals your past. The relationship shift positions your future. But there's a fourth sign, the rarest one, the one that only appears to those who are standing at the very edge of their divine appointment, and I'm going to reveal it before this message ends. But first, you need to confirm that you're recognizing what God is doing. If any of these three signs have shown up in your life in the last 30 days, I need you to do something right now. Comment, show me the sign below, not for me, for your own spirit, so that heaven sees you're paying attention, so that the angels marking the chosen can confirm. This one is awake, because what I'm about to tell you next will explain why these signs are appearing now and what December 9th has to do with the final chapter of your story. You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet someone in their 70s, their 80s, sitting across from me with tears in their eyes, whispering the same haunted question, did I waste my life? Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many mornings have you woken up feeling like time is slipping through your fingers like sand? How many nights have you laid there in the dark, your spouse's side of the bed cold and empty, wondering if your best years are buried 6 feet under with everyone you've loved? You feel it, don't you? That gnawing sense that the clock is running out, that whatever God had planned for you, you must have missed it somewhere between the mortgage payments and the hospital visits and the funerals that just keep coming. But what if I told you that everything you just felt, every ounce of that fear, is a lie whispered by an enemy who knows exactly what December 9th is about to unleash through you? Listen to me carefully, beloved. Heaven does not operate in years. Heaven operates in purpose. And your purpose doesn't have an expiration date stamped on your birth certificate. You think you're running out of time. Time has been waiting for you. Think about Moses, 80 years old when God called him from that burning bush. 80. The same age when most men in his era were already in the grave. He'd spent 40 years as a prince who became a murderer, 40 years as a shepherd who became nobody, 80 years of what looked like wasted potential. But Exodus 7:7 tells us Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. God didn't call Moses in spite of his age. He called him because of it. Because sometimes the greatest assignments require the deepest preparation. You've been in preparation, chosen one, not punishment. Preparation. Every loss you've endured wasn't God taking things from you, it was God making room in you. Every door that slammed shut wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every year you spent feeling invisible wasn't abandonment, it was incubation. You see, there's a reason Malachi 3:3 says, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver." Do you know what a refiner does? He doesn't destroy the silver. He heats it until everything that isn't pure burns away. He watches it with the intensity of a surgeon, never looking away, because one moment too long and the silver is ruined, one moment too short and the impurities remain. You've been in that fire, haven't you? The fire of loss, the fire of loneliness, the fire of watching your body betray you, your friends forget you, your children build lives that don't seem to have room for you anymore. But God wasn't burning you, He was burning off what couldn't walk with you into December 9th. He was burning off the need for validation from people who were never meant to understand you. He was burning off the fear of man that would have kept you silent when he needs you to speak. He was burning off every compromise, every comfort, every crutch that would have collapsed under the weight of what he's about to place on your shoulders. Nothing you lost is beyond God's restoration. Not joy, not strength, not destiny. Job understood this in ways that should shake us awake. Job 42:12 declares, "The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part." Did you catch that? More than the former part, not less, not equal, more. God gave Job double everything he'd lost, but only after the fire, only after the testing, only after Job learned that his security wasn't in his possessions, but in his God. Your latter days are about to eclipse everything that came before. But here's what most people miss about Job's story. It wasn't just his wealth that was restored, it was his voice. It was his influence. It was his purpose. Job became the wisest man in all the East, and kings and counselors came to hear him speak. Why? Because pain produces a depth that comfort never can. You've earned something in that fire that the comfortable will never possess. You've earned authority, spiritual authority, that doesn't come from books or seminars or titles. It comes from looking hell in the face and saying, "You don't get to write my ending." If you felt more alone this year than you've ever felt in your life, let me tell you why. Heaven cleared the noise to amplify your calling. God removed every voice that would have drowned out His voice. He silenced every opinion that would have confused your assignment. He isolated you not to break you, but to break through to you without interference. Think about Jesus in the wilderness. 40 days alone, with nothing but the devil's accusations and the Father's presence. Why? Because what he was about to do, turning water into wine, raising the dead, casting out demons, ultimately dying for the sins of the world, it required a level of intimacy with the Father that crowds would have corrupted. Your isolation has been your initiation. And now, right now as I'm speaking these words to you, something is shifting. Can you feel it? That restlessness in your spirit that won't let you settle. That holy dissatisfaction with normal that's been growing louder every day. That's not discontent, beloved. That's destiny knocking. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says God has set eternity in the human heart. But most people spend their entire lives ignoring that eternity-shaped void, filling it with hobbies and grandchildren and television shows. Not you. You can't ignore it anymore, can you? Because December 9th is the deadline for preparation, and something in your spirit knows it. You're not running out of time. You're running into your finest hour. Every grey hair on your head is a crown of wisdom. Every wrinkle on your face is a map of faithfulness. Every scar on your heart is a credential that qualifies you for what's coming. The world looks at you and sees sunset. God looks at you and sees sunrise. But here's the question that will determine everything. Will you keep believing the lie that your time has passed? Or will you finally embrace the truth that your time is now? Because what God is about to reveal to you about December 9th will require you to see yourself the way heaven sees you, not as someone winding down, but as someone being wound up for the greatest launch of your entire existence. Now we come to the sign that separates the casual believer from the marked vessel. The fourth sign is not something you read in a book or hear in a sermon. It cannot be taught. It cannot be faked. It can only be recognized by those whose names were written in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world. The fourth sign is this: a sudden shift in your inner vision, an unexplainable knowing that drops into your spirit like a stone breaking the surface of still water. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? Maybe it happened last Tuesday while you were washing dishes, hands deep in soapy water, mind wandering nowhere in particular. Then suddenly, without warning, without explanation, you KNEW something. Not thought it, not hoped it, KNW it. Like someone reached inside your chest and flipped a switch that had been off your entire life. Or maybe it happened 3 nights ago when you couldn't sleep. You were staring at the ceiling at 3:47 a.m., and for no logical reason, you felt a gentle pressure in your spirit. Not pain, not fear, pressure. Like the atmosphere in the room changed, like the air got thicker with presence. And in that moment, though no audible voice spoke, you heard your name, not with your ears, with something deeper. Something ancient in you responded to something eternal outside you. It's like someone wiped a foggy window clean, and for the first time in 70, 80, 90 years, you can finally see clearly. Not with your eyes are probably weaker now than they've ever been. But your spiritual vision? Dear God in heaven, it's sharper than a surgeon's blade. Let me tell you what this knowing feels like, because if you've experienced it, you need to understand what's happening to you. If you haven't experienced it yet, you need to recognize it when it comes, because it's coming for every chosen one reading these words right now. This knowing doesn't arrive with fanfare. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It slips into your consciousness like dawn slips over the horizon, quiet, inevitable, undeniable. One moment you're living in twilight, and the next, you're standing in full light, wondering how you ever functioned in that darkness. The Apostle Paul described this exact phenomenon in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9 through 10. Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. Did you catch that? Revealed. Not taught, not learned. Revealed. There's a massive difference between education and revelation. Education fills your mind. Revelation transforms your being. This is why you've been feeling so strange lately. This is why conversations that used to satisfy you now feel hollow. This is why you can't watch the same TV shows, can't engage in the same small talk, can't pretend anymore that life is about retirement plans and early bird specials. Something fundamental shifted inside you, and you can't go back to who you were last month. Your family thinks you've changed. Your friends wonder what's gotten into you. Even you might be questioning your own sanity. Am I losing my mind? Why do I feel so different? Why does everything look different, even though nothing has changed? Let me tell you exactly what's happening. Heaven is downloading divine intelligence directly into your spirit, bypassing your natural mind completely. God is giving you eyes to see what's invisible and ears to hear what's inaudible. You're being upgraded in real time from human consciousness to kingdom consciousness. But here's what this knowing really means. And I need you to understand this with every fiber of your being. This knowing is heaven saying, prepare. You're next. Next for what? Next for activation, next for deployment, next for the assignment that required every single year of your life to prepare for. Every heartbreak was training. Every disappointment was development. Every closed door was redirection toward this moment. You think it's coincidence that this knowing dropped into your spirit just days before December 9th? You think it's random that you're suddenly seeing with new eyes, hearing with new ears, understanding with new depth right now? Beloved, there are no coincidences in the kingdom of God. There are only appointments disguised as accidents. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 18 says, "The path of the just is as the shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day." Your path isn't getting darker as you age, it's getting brighter. You're not fading into obscurity, you're being illuminated for elevation. But let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. This fourth sign, this unexplainable knowing, it doesn't come to spectators. It doesn't come to the religious crowd who show up to church out of habit. It doesn't come to people who are just culturally Christian. This knowing only comes to the marked ones, the sealed ones, the chosen ones who were set apart before time began. And if you're experiencing it right now, if something in your chest is burning as these words wash over you, if you feel that gentle pressure in your spirit, confirming every syllable I'm speaking, that's not emotion, that's recognition. Your spirit recognizing its assignment, your soul remembering its purpose, because the final change on December 9th is not about the world shifting, beloved. The world shifts every day. Governments rise and fall, economies boom and crash, seasons change and people die. That's just Tuesday on planet Earth. No, the final change is about you stepping into who you were always meant to be. It's about the real you, the eternal you, the you that existed in God's mind before your parents ever met, finally breaking through the shell of the temporary you. You've been living as a shadow of your true self, but December 9th is the day the substance emerges, the day the mask comes off. The day you stop pretending to be normal and step into the abnormal, supernatural, unexplainable power that's been dormant in your DNA since birth. So here's my question for you, and I want you to answer honestly in your heart. If heaven is giving you this knowing right now, if God is whispering your name in the quiet moments, if you're experiencing this shift in your inner vision, what are you going to do with it? You know what's been eating at you for the last 40 years, don't you? It's not the prayers God answered. It's the ones He didn't. The silence that followed your desperate cries. The emptiness that echoed back when you begged Him to save your marriage, heal your child, rescue your finances, bring back the one you buried too soon. You've been calling that silence rejection. But what if I told you that you've been reading God's language backwards your entire life? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. December 9th is going to shatter everything you thought you knew about divine communication, because the silence you've been running from is actually the sound of heaven working on your behalf. Let me take you somewhere most pastors won't go. Remember Job? This man lost everything in a single day. 10 children dead, wealth gone, health destroyed. His body covered in boils from head to foot, sitting in ashes, scraping his skin with broken pottery. And for 37 chapters of the Bible, Job cried out to God. He questioned, he demanded answers. He begged for just one word of explanation. And God? God said nothing. Absolute silence. For months, maybe years, while Job's so-called friends told him he must have sinned, must have done something to deserve this horror. But here's what breaks my heart, and what's about to break open your understanding. God wasn't absent during Job's suffering. He was working, preparing, building something so magnificent that when He finally spoke in Job chapter 38, The entire universe stood still to listen. When a sculptor works, the chisel makes noise, but the masterpiece is revealed in silence. You see, beloved, God doesn't speak during the chiseling. He speaks after. Because while you're focused on the pain of the hammer striking stone, He's focused on the glory that's being uncovered. Every blow that hurt you was actually removing what wasn't supposed to be there. Every silent night was God working on your character in ways that words could never accomplish. Think about it. When did God give Moses the 10 Commandments? After 40 days of silence on Mount Sinai. When did Jesus receive the Holy Spirit? After 40 days of fasting in the wilderness. When did the disciples receive power? After waiting in silence in that upper room, wondering if Jesus had forgotten His promise. Silence, but not distance. Silence, but not denial. Silence, but not abandonment. Here's what the enemy has been hiding from you, and why December 9th is going to expose his greatest lie. Every time you interpreted God's silence as rejection, you gave the devil permission to build a wall between you and your breakthrough. Every time you said God isn't listening, you agreed with hell's narrative instead of heaven's strategy. But I need you to understand something that's going to wreck you in the best possible way. God's silence after December 9th, and I'm telling you this now so you're prepared. God's silence is not Him ignoring your prayers, it's Him implementing them. 1 Kings 19 tells us about Elijah running for his life, hiding in a cave, absolutely certain God had abandoned him. And God said, "Go out and stand on the mountain, because I'm about to pass by." And here's what happened. A powerful wind tore through the mountains, but God wasn't in the wind. Then came an earthquake, but God wasn't in the earthquake. Then came fire, but God wasn't in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, a still, small voice, silence that spoke louder than thunder. You've been looking for God in the noise, but He's been speaking in the quiet all along. Now let me tell you why this matters for December 9th, and why missing this revelation could cost you everything God's been preparing. When heaven grows quiet, it means heaven is working. When you stop hearing immediate answers, it means God is orchestrating answers so complex, so intricately woven through time and circumstance, that they require divine silence to complete. You think He forgot about your prodigal son? No, He's been working on that boy's heart in ways you couldn't see, arranging encounters, positioning people, dismantling strongholds. You think He ignored your financial crisis? No, He's been redirecting resources, closing doors to jobs that would have destroyed you, preparing a provision so perfect it could only come from Him. The silence wasn't punishment, dear one. It was protection. It was preparation. It was proof that what you're carrying requires more than a quick answer. It demands a complete transformation. Psalm 46:10 commands us, "Be still and know that I am God." Not be loud, not be anxious, be still. Because in the stillness, in the silence, in the space between your prayers and His answers, God is moving with surgical precision. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul right now. After December 9th, you're going to experience a season of profound silence. And everything will depend on whether you interpret that silence as rejection or recognition, whether you see it as abandonment or appointment, whether you hear it as God walking away or God working behind the scenes. If you've ever mistaken silence for abandonment, if you've ever thought God stopped listening, if you've ever questioned whether He even cares anymore, type "I hear you, Lord," right now. Not because I need to see it, but because heaven needs to know you finally understand the language you've been missing your entire life. Because what's about to happen on December 9th requires you to trust the silence, and the silence is about to birth the miracle you stopped believing was possible. But how do you prepare for a divine appointment you can't see coming? You know what nobody tells you about getting old in America? It's not the arthritis. It's not the prescriptions lined up on your kitchen counter like soldiers. It's not even the birthdays that stopped feeling like celebrations. It's the silence, the phone that doesn't ring anymore, the empty chair at your dinner table where your spouse used to sit, the grandchildren too busy with their screens to visit, the church friends who've already gone home to glory. You wake up at 5 a.m. because your body won't let you sleep past dawn, and you lie there in the dark wondering, does anyone even remember I'm still here? Let me tell you something that's going to shake the loneliness right out of your bones. December 9th, 2025 isn't just marking the end of your isolation, it's marking the beginning of divine reinforcements. Heaven is dispatching angelic assignments specifically coded to your address, your needs, your empty spaces. And I'm not talking about some feel-good religious theory. I'm talking about supernatural intervention that will rearrange your reality. Listen to what Hebrews 1:14 says, and I need you to hear this with fresh ears. Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? Sent, not wandering. Not randomly floating around, sent with assignments, with orders, with your name on the mission briefing. But here's what's going to mess with your mind. After December 9th, you're going to start noticing things that make no logical sense. You'll feel like someone unseen is straightening the path before you. That appointment you've been dreading, suddenly it gets rescheduled to a better time. That bill you couldn't figure out how to pay? An unexpected check arrives from a source you'd forgotten about. That devastating loneliness crushing your chest at 3 a.m. A peace you can't explain begins to fill the room. This isn't coincidence, beloved. This is coordination. Military-grade spiritual coordination. You see, God doesn't send his angels on vague missions. When heaven deploys help, it's precise. Isaiah 45:2 declares, I will go before you, and will level the mountains. I will break down gates of bronze, and cut through bars of iron. That's not poetry, that's a battle plan. And right now, angelic forces are receiving orders that have your street address on them. But listen carefully, these angels don't just move circumstances, they move people. Starting December 9th, God is going to send new people into your life, not random strangers, placed people, positioned people, people who will show up at exactly the right moment with exactly the right word. Maybe it's a neighbor you've never really talked to who suddenly starts checking on you. Maybe it's a phone call from someone you haven't heard from in 20 years. Maybe it's a young person at the grocery store who helps you with your bags, and something in their kindness reminds you that you still matter. You think that's chance? You think that's accident? No, dear one. That's tactical placement by a God who sees every lonely breakfast you eat alone, every night you go to bed talking to pictures of people who are gone. The years you thought were declining are about to be redefining. I'm talking to the 73-year-old widow in Queens who hasn't felt purposeful since her husband died. I'm talking to the 81-year-old grandfather in Brooklyn whose kids moved to California and FaceTime once a month if he's lucky. I'm talking to every senior citizen who's been told by society that your productive years are over. Your influence is finished. Your story is winding down. God is about to rewrite your final chapters with ink that glows in the dark. But there is one angelic sign few will notice. Most people will miss it entirely because they're looking for the spectacular, the burning bush, the parted sea, the voice from heaven. But the angelic sign heaven is sending after December 9th is quieter, more intimate, and we'll reach that soon. Because if I tell you now, you'll miss everything else God wants you to hear first. Right now, I need you to understand something that might make you cry, and that's okay. Let the tears come. They're not weakness, they're recognition. You have walked alone for years. You've eaten meals in silence. You've celebrated holidays watching other families on TV. You've sat in doctors' offices with nobody to hold your hand. You've made decisions with no one to counsel you. You've carried grief so heavy it bent your spine, and you carried it alone because everyone else moved on while you were still drowning. But heaven is filling the empty chair beside you. Psalm 68:6 promises, God sets the lonely in families. Not might set, not could set. Sets, present tense, active, happening right now. And after December 9th, you're going to see this verse manifest in ways that will leave you speechless. The divine alignment happening right now in the spiritual realm is not subtle. Angels are receiving assignments, divine appointments are being scheduled, supernatural interventions are being coordinated, and your name, your specific name, is all over heaven's deployment orders. But here's the question that's going to determine whether you receive what's being sent. Will you recognize the angels when they arrive wearing human faces? Will you see God's hand when it comes through a stranger's kindness? Will you accept the help heaven is sending? Or will you be so locked in your loneliness that you push away the very rescue you've been praying for? Because what's coming after December 9th requires something from you that years of isolation may have stolen the willingness to let people in again. And that's where the real miracle begins. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching people who've been faithful for 70, 80, 90 years, still looking at themselves through the eyes of their worst mistake. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. When you look in the mirror, really look, whose voice do you hear? Is it the voice of that father who said you'd never amount to anything? Is it the echo of that spouse who walked away? Is it the whisper of every regret that's been eating you alive since 1967? Because here's what God told me to tell you about December 9th. He's not just changing your circumstances, He's cleaning your mirror. For decades, maybe your entire adult life, you've been staring at yourself through fog, through the condensation of shame, through the smudges of every time you fell short, every promise you broke, every moment you wish you could take back. You look at that reflection and you see failure. You see the divorced one, the bankrupt one, the forgotten one, the one whose children don't call anymore. But that's not fog on your mirror, beloved. That's the enemy's fingerprints. And on December 9th, God Himself is taking a cloth and wiping it clean. Psalm 103:12 says, "As far as the east is from the west, so far has He removed our transgressions from us." Do you understand what that means? East and west never meet. They're infinite. God didn't just forgive your past, He erased it from His memory. But you've been keeping a museum of it in your mind. You've been curating every failure like it's a permanent exhibit. December 9th is the day the museum closes. I'm talking to the grandmother who still carries shame from choices she made at 23. You're 81 now, and you're still apologizing to God for something He forgot before Nixon resigned. I'm talking to the grandfather who lost his business in the recession and never forgave himself. You've been wearing bankruptcy like it's your first and last name. I'm talking to every senior citizen who looks in the mirror and sees a lifetime of not enough staring back. But what if I told you that's not who you are? What if I told you that's just who you thought you were? Listen to 2 Corinthians 5:17. "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here." Not the new is coming. Not the new might arrive someday. The new is here, present tense. Already done. The moment you said yes to Jesus, God hit delete on your old identity file. But you've been running outdated software, operating from a version of yourself that God uninstalled decades ago. You'll look at yourself on December 9th and see someone God never gave up on. You'll see the eyes of a warrior who survived every ambush. You'll see the hands that held on when letting go would have been easier. You'll see the heart that kept beating when grief tried to stop it. The final change isn't just rewriting your future, it's rewriting your identity. No longer the wounded, now the healer. No longer the forgotten, now the remembered. No longer the apologetic, now the appointed. No longer the victim of your story, now the victor writing its final chapters. Do you know why the enemy attacked you so viciously all these years? It wasn't because of who you were. It was because of who you were becoming. He didn't fear your past, beloved. He feared your revelation. He feared the moment you would finally see yourself the way heaven has always seen you. Think about Peter, the man who denied Jesus 3 times. 3 times he swore he didn't even know Him. Can you imagine carrying that guilt? Can you imagine looking in the mirror and seeing the face of the man who abandoned Christ in his darkest hour? But Jesus didn't see Peter the denier. Jesus saw Peter the rock. And in John 21, Jesus didn't remind Peter of his failure. He gave him 3 chances to declare his love, 1 for each denial. Jesus was cleaning Peter's mirror. On December 9th, God isn't just shifting your life. He's shifting your identity. He's removing every label you've worn that He never put on you. He's peeling off every name tag that shame stuck to your chest. He's stripping away every lie you've believed about yourself. And when He's done, when that mirror is finally clean, you're going to see something that will take your breath away. You're going to see royalty. You're going to see purpose. You're going to see a chosen one who was hand-picked before the foundation of the world for such a time as this. Jeremiah 29:11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Your future isn't behind you just because you're in your golden years. Your future is in front of you, and it's brighter than anything in your rearview mirror. But here's the question that will determine everything. When God cleans your mirror and shows you who you really are, will you believe Him? Or will you reach for that dirty cloth and fog it back up with the same old lies? Because what's waiting on the other side of December 9th requires someone who knows their true identity. And that someone is staring back at you right now. Beloved chosen one, as we close this sacred moment together, I need you to hold 3 eternal truths close to your heart. First, December 9th, 2025 is not just another day you'll forget by breakfast. It's your divine appointment, the threshold where everything you've survived finally makes sense. Second, the mirror God is cleaning isn't showing you who you were, it's revealing who you've always been in His eyes. And third, the reason you're still breathing after everything that tried to break you is because the final change needs your testimony, your wisdom, your battle-tested faith. But here's what I need you to know with absolute certainty. You are not walking this path alone, even when the nights feel long and the silence feels heavy. The God who numbered every hair on your head is still orchestrating every detail of your life. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. And beyond heaven's faithfulness, you have us a family of believers right here who understand your journey, who've walked similar roads, who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're warriors in the spirit, connected by something deeper than blood. So let me ask you this final question, and let it settle in the quiet places of your soul. If God has been preparing you for 70, 80, 90 years for December 9th, if every tear, every trial, every triumph has been building toward this moment, what will you do when that mirror is finally clean and you see who you really are? Before you go, I want you to join me in prayer. Wherever you are right now, close your eyes. Let me speak over your life with the authority of someone who believes God still moves mountains. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul hearing these words. You know their names. You know their stories. You know the weight they've been carrying. Lord, I pray for divine awakening on December 9th. Let them see themselves through your eyes, not as broken, but as chosen, not as forgotten, but as remembered, not as finished, but as just beginning their finest hour. Open doors no human can shut. Provide resources they haven't asked for. Send divine appointments they never expected. Heal bodies that doctors have given up on. Restore relationships that seemed beyond repair. Pour out financial breakthrough where there's been nothing but lack. Father, give them supernatural peace that defies their circumstances. Let them sleep tonight, knowing that you are fighting battles they can't even see. Surround them with your presence so thick that doubt has nowhere to land. And on December 9th, let them wake up, knowing, absolutely knowing, that their identity has been rewritten by the hand of the Almighty. In Jesus' mighty name, Amen. Now, I need to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me what God spoke to your heart today. What shifted? What awakened? Don't hold back, your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you need prayer for something specific, write it down. This community will surround you. If this message touched your soul, share it with someone who's been feeling forgotten, someone who thinks their time has passed, someone who needs to remember they're chosen. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, because December 9th is just the beginning, and you don't want to miss what God is unveiling next. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Your faithfulness to listen means more than you know. Until we meet again, walk as who you are, marked, chosen, and destined for the final change. God bless you, warrior. Your mirror is about to shine.